Beatings, stabbings, murders, crimes linked to gangs divided by race. The groups had their beginnings in state prisons during the 1980s. Inmates aligned themselves based on racial threats as a form of protection.
The Texas prison system recognizes 12 groups. They include the Bloods, the Crips, 8 groups identified as Mexican gangs, and 2 others, the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas and the Aryan Circle.
Officials say most of the cases in our area center on those 2 groups. Investigative reporter Megan Dillard looked into these organizations.
I mean, nobody ever wants to get that call. Oh, your son's murdered.
Vivian Sedtall.
They only did it for greed.
Her son's killers.
They got life and so did I.
Their sentences, the same. Their burdens, different.
I have to live with the life inside my head of my son.
A young man, a gang member murdered.
Instead of killing him, they killed half of me too.
By his own people. It starts behind bars.
At its core, it's a dysfunctional, violent, hate-filled organization.
Where gang members recruit.
I was young and naive, but the original cause is for the white race.
Racial activity, we still have it.
White supremacy, or the idea that the white race is superior, is what first binds these groups together. We learn that gang activity is more than matching tattoos, protection in prison, and allegiance. It's a web of violence, organized crime, in which even their own members become targets.
Gang members like James Lee Sedtall.
Did he ever tell you how they first approached him?
In jail. In jail.
He spent time behind bars in Burnett County for evading arrest in the early 2000s.
And they said, well, Mama, you got to have some friends in there.
And then again for drug charges in Jefferson County a few years later.
And I said, that's kind of crazy. You're in SWS? For what?
The Solid Wood Soldiers, the group to whom he pledged his loyalty.
He says, Mama, I just want the money.
The group who just 5 months later took his life.
He was supposed to meet with them people.
March 2011. Vivian knew she hadn't heard from James Lee in nearly a month.
And I said, all the way out there, what for?
She also knew officers in Hardin County had recently found a burned body stuffed in a trunk.
He said, don't worry about it, Mama, I got it.
Her mother called on a morning she now replays in her head.
She said, did you get a call? I said, what call? No, why? She said, it was. It was what? It was James Lee.
James Lee Sedtall.
A SWS member was murdered by other SWS members.
Dead at 25.
Because he had shot an ABT member in the hand over a drug transaction gone bad.
A problem between the Solid Wood Soldiers and the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas.
He was murdered to broker a peace that would have been broken with the ABT if they had not killed him.
A gang war prevented with 1 life taken.
They shot him, put him in the trunk of a car, and burned his body.
A message to other members.
It was a really grotesque, violent act.
These gangs, they're just outrageous. And I'm like, what for?
Unanswered questions this mother will ask over and over through the years as she thumbs through all she has left of James Lee.
I don't ask for pity. I asked for justice, and I didn't get it.
The Texas Department of Criminal Justice and prosecutors working to stop the bloodshed.
That type of violence is unacceptable to us.
And coming up tomorrow at 5:30 on Fox 4, we'll see part 2 of Megan's series.